welcome to Riverview Conversations. This is Jason.
And this is Phil. And today we are continuing through the book of Mark. We're in Mark chapter 7, verse 24. And we've got a couple of very, very interesting stories.
Yeah, we do. Today we're going to be talking about a Gentile woman who Jesus tells her to go away. And then that's got a twist to it. And then we have a deaf man that is healed.
Yeah, well, let me start reading this first one.
Okay, so this is just to be clear, Mark chapter 7, starting at verse 24.
Yes. Then Jesus left Galilee and went north to the region of Tyre. He didn't want anyone to know which house he was staying in, but he couldn't keep it a secret. Right away, a woman who had heard about him came and fell at his feet. Her little girl was possessed by an evil spirit, and she begged him to cast out the demon from her daughter. Since she was a Gentile born in Syria, Phoenicia, Jesus told her, "First, I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs." She replied, "That's true, Lord. But even the dogs under the table are allowed to eat the scraps from the children's plates." "Good answer," he said. "Now go home, for the demon has left your daughter." And when she arrived at home, she found her little girl lying quietly in the bed, and the demon was gone. There is so much in this story. First, he left Galilee to go back into a Gentile area. And he's going to this house and wants to be secretive about it, trying to get away from people.
Can I ask really quick, for a place, where is the region of Tyre?
It's along...
is this part of the Decapolis group of cities?
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is on the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh, interesting. So he's gone it's probably 20, 30 miles the other side from Galilee. So he's not on the edge of Galilee. He's over by the Mediterranean.
Yes.
Which is why, Phoenicia, I think of Solomon and his partnership with the Phoenicians, and they built ships and they did trade all around the world. And that was right there at the edge of the Mediterranean. So that makes sense that the Syro-Phoenician or the Syrian Phoenician woman came to him.
Yeah, and in these chapters here, we have him over in Decapolis, then we have him in Galilee, and then we have him up in Tyre, and then back in Decapolis. It seems like he's bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, there's this guy Papias of Hierapolis. He's quoted by the historian Eusebius as saying that John Mark wrote Peter's account accurately, but not in chronological order.
Right. So that's why we get this where it seems like he's bouncing around, but it was more logical travel than...
And he's leaving the steps in between out. He's not telling every step of the journey.
Exactly.
That's not his goal here.
He's highlighting the stories that matter.
Yeah.
And I always find this interesting that he's there are times when he's trying to get away from people.
Yeah, please don't tell anybody that I'm staying here.
And I think that is very important for us today, because sometimes we feel like if we're not busy, we're not doing God's work. We have to be constantly busy, constantly doing, Jesus came down here to do the most important work of all time. I mean, you'd agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is the most important work. And how many times do we see him, I need to be by myself?
Yeah.
And
There's a discipline to that. And I think there's a discipline to our hearts doing that. I saw one of those little video shorts. It's like a sketch, and a lady's married to what do they call it when somebody's like all about themselves?
a narcissist?
Yeah. So like being married to a narcissist, right? So she's sitting back reading something on the bed, and there's a pile of folded laundry, and she hears the door start to creak. She jumps up, takes the top piece and refolds it. And yes, can I help you, honey? It's like she's got to always be perceived as working in order to have value.
Right.
And I think that sometimes we think that God is like that we always have to be busy,
Yeah.
or that other people are like that. We have to be busy in order to be valued.
Yeah. And yet Jesus took time away for the more important thing. When we get to Mary and Martha, who was doing the more important work, Mary or Martha? It was Mary, because she wanted to be with Jesus.
And you need a refill. Like you can't just always be giving. You need to be receiving from God too.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets this secret place, or he tries to have a secret place. She comes and asks for her girl to be healed from this evil spirit. And we don't really know what that looked like. We just know that there was a marked difference, whether she was foaming at the mouth and talking with some low voice, or that idea that sometimes comes across from popular media about what it looks like to have a spirit in her. But she is impacted by the work of Satan in a dramatic way that's impossible to be recovered from by medicine or prayer to her gods. And so she asks, who she has come to believe is God. She asks Jesus for his help.
Yeah, and he comes up with this this crazy reply, and it almost sounds a little bit rude. First, I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews. And it almost sounds like he is putting her off. I've got to take care of my own family, the Jews, first. But she throws it right back in his face.
Have you ever had an interaction with somebody and there's like a third party in the mix, and you kind of have that eye, you look at them and you say something that's like totally sarcastic, but could be true, and it's for the point of like making a point to the third party? Have you ever had that?
I've never been sarcastic in my entire life.
As right now you are not, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then they catch your eye. They catch what you're doing, and then they feed it back. I wonder if that's what this was. The disciples are listening, and Jesus says, catches her eye, and he's like, first I should feed my own children. The Jews, it's not right to take food from their table and give it to the Gentiles.
Oh, I'd never thought about it that way.
And then she sees what's going on in the social dynamic, and she's like, "True, Lord, but even the dogs have."
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what that dynamic was like.
Like I said, I've never thought of it, but that makes perfect sense.
I'm pretty confident that this message was not for her. It's possible that there are two things going on. That there was a faith component, like he's testing her faith. Are you going to persist? But I also think that this was very much a teaching moment for the disciples.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
And I guess I wonder, the reason I think about the sarcasm and maybe that look, catching your eye and giving some indication, social cue, some nonverbal that suggests that he's being sarcastic, because I don't think he wants to squash her faith.
Right.
I think he's trying to teach his disciples something. And if he can get her on his side and encourage her faith, strengthen the faith in the process of teaching his disciples a lesson, then that's a win-win, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Anyway.
And it isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. The word dog here is I believe in Greek is translated puppies. So it's
Little dog.
a little dog, family pet,
Yeah.
which I think is also that implication that the Gentiles are still part of the family. The Jews haven't considered them that.
Well, that's interesting.
But Jesus is considering those puppies still part of the family.
Well, and it would be one thing to say, listen, I'm going to feed my own children. Those dogs outside can fend for themselves. And what Jesus is basically saying when he says, and throw it to the little dogs, he's already looping in the Gentiles, called dogs by the Jews as family pets. And so she responds, maybe that's one of her clues that says, oh, he's brought me into the house. Maybe that's one of her clues that says yes, and the dogs get fed too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't noticed the distinction there, the little dog.
And then of course he says, go home, the demons have left. He does not physically go and heal the little girl, but this woman's faith is enough for him to say, you've asked, I've answered.
Yeah.
Go home.
There's a couple things that are different in my mind than I remember it. One of them is he was staying at a house and trying to keep it secret. But right away, a woman hears about him and came. Where does she come to? I've always imagined this being like Jesus and the disciples are walking along the road and some lady comes up to them. But this is at a house.
This is at a house, yeah.
So that's a unique thing. And the other thing I was thinking about is this idea of a secret place. And it's not only that Jesus is seeking a secret place, but he can't keep it a secret.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, a truism about the gospel, about Jesus in our lives. We can't keep it a secret. It oozes out of every pore. It infects every aspect of our life. Our belief in Jesus and the gospel and his love, we can't help but make it known. Like Jesus is here. Something is unique in Tyre when Jesus comes. And even though he's like, kind of secret into this place, something is significantly different. It's obvious. People know about it and people talk, and it's hard to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
I think if it's easy to keep your religion a secret, you probably don't have Jesus there.
I looked at this, I read this through once and I thought, and here's my weirdness coming out again, and I can see that look in your eyes like, oh, where are we going with this one? But I thought about these rock stars that go around and they've got these groupies and everybody's following them. Jesus must have been extremely popular. Mm-hmm. I mean, not among the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but among the everyday people.
He had thousands of people that would come and gather in difficult circumstances in order to hear him. Yeah, he was popular.
Yeah. And
maybe in Galilee he was popular. Jerusalem was a little different, but
yeah, and so here he's a rock star that's come in and is trying to hide, and just everybody knows about it.
Everybody's whispering.
Yeah, exactly.
He's here. Well, keeping it a secret is part of the next story as well. Are we ready to go on?
We are ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Verse 31, I'll read this. I'm supposed to read it because in verse 34, there's a weird word. So
yes.
Here we go. Verse 31, Jesus left Tyre and went up to Sidon before going back to the Sea of Galilee in the region of the 10 towns. So interesting. He goes from the Mediterranean back to the Galilee and then back across Galilee to the 10 towns even farther east.
Right.
Okay. A deaf man, verse 32, with a speech impediment. So he was deaf and dumb. What's the word?
Deaf and dumb. I mean,
Yeah, dumb meaning unable to speak.
I don't know if that's politically correct.
Not stupid. That's a different subject. This is like unable to speak. This is a medical term. Anyway, he had a speech impediment, and he was deaf, and he was brought to Jesus. And the people begged Jesus to lay his hands on the man to heal him. Jesus led him away from the crowd so that he could be alone. He put his fingers into the man's ears. Then, spitting on his own fingers, he touched the man's tongue. Looking up to heaven, he sighed and said, Ephatha, which means be opened. Instantly, the man could hear perfectly, and his tongue was free so he could speak plainly. Jesus told the crowd not to tell anyone, but the more he told them not to, the more they spread the news. They were completely amazed and said again and again, everything he does is wonderful. He even makes the deaf to hear and gives speech to those who cannot speak.
Yeah. A couple things about this. Number one is he takes this man off to the side. How far off to the side, we don't know, but it's obvious.
Alone was the point.
Alone, yeah. He doesn't want this to be a spectacle. That's the way I see it.
He doesn't do that with everybody.
No, he doesn't.
Which makes me think that Jesus deals with each personality in the way that they need.
Mm-hmm. And then here again, spitting on his fingers. He with the blind man, he spit in the mud or spit in the dirt and made mud. And
I might be a little bit germophobic, but if you spit on your fingers and try to put it in my mouth, I'm gonna not like it.
Exactly.
I wonder what that is. Like there has to be some spiritual implication there. It's not that Jesus has to spit in order for healing to happen. It's like the words he's saying to the woman. Those words were intended for a purpose. Mm-hmm. They accomplish some spiritual goal. And I think the same is true for this spitting in the mud, spitting on his fingers. It's not that he has to have some formula, mud plus spit equals, seeing eyes.
Right, right.
He has an intentionality there.
We need to dig a little deeper on that one because that does come up and it is interesting how he uses that. But then it says he's looking up into heaven and he sighs and says, Ephatha.
Oh, you got the word.
I got it. I've been practicing.
Yeah.
And it's being, but he doesn't just say the word. He looks up to heaven. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, I need some help with this. It's kind of almost that thing. Father, here's another one for you to heal. Which tells us that he relied upon his Father. To me, anyway, it tells us that he relied very heavily on his Father.
Let's think about another aspect of this. This is a deaf man. Jesus could say, I'm going to heal you now. I'm going to make your ears hear and your tongue speak. And then he looks up to heaven and says something that also the guy can't hear. And then he can hear and he can speak. So he's had no communication from Jesus that's effective. Mm-hmm. And suddenly there's a change. So in a way, the physical actions of like touching the man's eyes or touching his ears in this case, or touching the tongue, these are physical actions that communicate intentionality to the man.
Yeah.
That's maybe one way to look at it.
And then he tells the crowd not to tell anyone. And this is always, I mean, to me, this is you know how when you're told not to do something, mm-hmm. don't think about the word help, what are you going to think about all the rest of the day?
Yeah.
Help.
Like I can't think about help. I can't think about help.
And I think I almost think that this is a psychological ploy on the part of Jesus.
He's leveraging the social element, the virality, I guess.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, this is special.
Because it says...
Just between us.
Yeah. The more he says, don't tell anybody, the more people are going to go out.
Well, that's one possibility, but I would recommend that we take God at his word and obey him. That's the ideal.
Well, that's
And so I wonder,
true.
I wonder in some of these cases, I think I mentioned this before in an earlier podcast, but what would have happened if the leper had not broadcast this? What would have happened if these people had not shared it everywhere? Would Jesus' ministry have been bettered or harmed by the lack of sharing? And I kind of think that it would have been bettered. I don't know how.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know how, but there's an intentionality that Jesus has, and he, like, maybe this is like a God thing in general. Like God's like, okay, best scenario is if we want to get from where you are today to your best life, take a right at this street and a left at that street and a right, and then go straight for 1.5 miles and take a left, right? And we start on that path, and then we miss a step. We turn left instead of right. We go straight instead of turn, and God's like rerouting. Okay, now we have to get from where you are now to where the best life is, right?
Yeah, make a U-turn.
And I think that God, and it's not like I'm not trying to say God's a GPS. What I'm saying is that if we're getting our directions from God, and we make a wrong turn, then I think God is creative enough and compassionate enough to give us new directions from the new position that we're at. And so in a way, it's like, okay, this was his ideal. Don't talk about it. And then they talked about it, and he's like, rerouting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll work with a new reality. I love that idea about God. Now, the one thought is that everything that happens is God's plan. And I know that's not true. That cannot be true. It was not God's plan for the Israelites to make an idol and worship that idol right after he gave them the 10 Commandments. In fact, it was his plan that they all meet with him, but they said, no, we don't want to go in our place. And they sent Moses up the mountain. And they were afraid of God. So God has a plan, and then he adapts to the people's change. Mm-hmm. In this case, he has a plan, don't share it, and then he adapts as they do share it. An adaptable God that lives real life with us and processes life as we make changes to what he originally hoped we would do. And he can even, the Bible says that God works all things for good to those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. And that means even our mistakes and our oopses, he can turn into beautiful things because he's powerful and creative.
Well, and I think this last part here, they were completely amazed and said again and again, everything he does is wonderful. In all their life, they had never met a man like Jesus. Mm-hmm. A man who could not only heal, but I'm sure that the just his countenance, the way he looked at you, little children jumped on his lap. Why? There had to be something there that just shouted out, "I love you." And when the people saw this, not only can he do these miracles, but just the way he treated them, the love that came from him,
warm and inviting.
Yeah.
Like, why do you don't go up to a person's house and beg them for their attention and their help if you think that they would berate you, right? Yeah. you go there and you interrupt them because you have some understanding that their character is warm and friendly and welcoming and willing for that interruption to happen.
Yeah, in my neighborhood, you would never go up to anybody's house. Just not done.
That's a different.
It's a different situation.
Yeah, different situation. Yeah, the person has to be welcoming and warm, or that's going to be shut down. People know, okay, he's cold.
Yeah, you can't go up to that house.
Yeah,
but yeah, the
I want to go back to that Ephatha thing, the be opened. I wonder if there's a spiritual connection, I guess. Jesus is opening the mouth, the tongue, and the ears of a deaf and mute. That's the other word.
Mute, yes.
Not dumb,
Yeah,
mute.
mute.
Okay. Apologize to everybody who struggles with a speech impediment. Anyway, he's dealing with this man with physiological problems, but he looks up to heaven and with this sigh of compassion. And I'm thinking that sigh might also be a physical thing that he's communicating to the man, his compassion physically, before he can hear. So he sighs and he says, Ephatha, be opened. And this miracle happens and he can hear and he can speak. And I think that in an equal way, God has the ability to make my mouth speak the gospel for the kingdom, for his benefit and for the world. And he has the ability to open my ears to hear and to respond to the Holy Spirit. So my hard-hearted, closed ear brain is able to be healed by Jesus. And my tongue, where I say, I don't really know how to speak, I'm not sure how to communicate the gospel, Jesus is able to make that tongue be opened in the same way that he healed this man.
Yeah, I'm just looking back here, and it was the people that brought this man to Jesus and begged him to lay hands on the man. I don't know where my thought went from there.
That is an intriguing little point. He doesn't just come to Jesus on his own. This is a group effort. And maybe he has an interest in it. He wouldn't have come if he wasn't willing. But the people they band together around this guy. Some group of people, his friends maybe, say, hey, this guy could be healed too. And maybe that's part of the thing. I'm thinking about opening the... apologize for that. Hang on. Oh, that was funny. My devices are supposed to be on Do Not Disturb, but somebody just called, and there's this thing that'll cut off my video if it receives a phone call. But it was my watch that received the phone call, and the video is still going. So
okay, no.
Anyway, that interrupted my thought.
That's okay.
And I completely lost it.
That's okay. We must have been headed down the right road.
Well, with that funny interruption, I think... Oh, we were talking about the people coming back, and like the people bringing him.
Right.
So I was thinking that there's this aspect of ordination when the people lay their hands on a person and send them to a mission. We're going to do an ordination in a couple weeks here, an elder and a deacon, and those roles, those offices, we kind of put our hands on people and confirm their calling by the Holy Spirit. As a community, we say, yes, we see the Holy Spirit in you. And we'd like to authenticate that and give you a responsibility equal to that calling. And I wonder if it's something like the people bringing this man to Jesus. We don't do anything. We can't change a person, but we can bring them to Jesus. And so we bring the elder to Jesus and we put our hands on them and we say, Jesus, please give them the skills, open their mouth.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So they begged Jesus to lay his hands on the man. And maybe that's why we lay our hands on people, because it's a symbol of what we are asking Jesus to do.
Yeah.
Well, next time we get to jump into chapter 8. I think we're about halfway through the book of Mark, and I'm enjoying these. I do have another interview that's happening. We're going to have, in our next episode, we have a story by another Phil, and I think that's going to be really enjoyable. And then I've got another interview I'm planning with a doctor sometime soon. So we'll intersperse these conversations about Mark with a few other interviews.
And I would encourage people, just get in and dig deeper on these stories. There is so much here, and it's so fun. I've been doing this for the last couple of years, looking for the weird in things and unusual things that are in the Bible, and just digging deeper and trying to find out more about these stories. And I just encourage our listeners to do the same thing, because it is a lot of fun.
It is. Phil, you are designed for open spaces. You like to move your hands.
Well, yeah, I talk with my hands. It's kind of hard to sit here and not move my hands around.
So if you hear any bumps or weird noises, it's because
it's me.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, and more bumping of microphones with our hands.